All right, thank you, Urs. Thank you all for being here. It is Thursday, February 27th. Our full board meeting is about to commence at 7:18, and we will start with our public gallery session. Do we have any members of the audience, not our presenters, but any members of the audience that would like the floor? You get 3 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna move to our presenters. We can go with, hold on one second. I believe we were also having a conflicts of interest training for community board members. No? No one's here for that? Okay, so we will start with our first presenter, Mr. Hall. Sean Bell.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Bell, principal of CMC Development Group. This is Pastor.
Reverend Kioma Finance, the pastor at Ebenezer Pilgrim Holiness Church.
Yes, and so this evening, we are here to seek the community board support and also to elicit your comments and any questions or concerns you may have. CMC Development Group has partnered with Ebenezer Church to create a new church sanctuary and community facility for them, and also a residential component to the building. What we envision having is a structure that would entail approximately 80 plus apartments. We're still working on that final number, given some of the changes that have happened recently with zoning in the city of Yes, et cetera. And we intend to have those units provide affordable housing. Our primary target, we're hoping, as we're working with the city, is to perhaps do a home ownership model, so we can bring some home ownership to the community, as it is currently a community that has a lot of homeowners, as many of you are. So we're looking for the support of the community board as we kind of move through that process. And on the church's part, they're looking to really have a new facility that allows them to continue their ministry, continue a lot of the programming that they provide on a weekly basis, and then also to expand on that programming. And I'll let Pastor speak a little bit about that, and then I'll also come back in and touch a little bit more on our design elements and some of the things that are critical to us as a development team, and the reason why we've partnered with the church.
Good evening, everyone. So one of the things that Ebenezer wants to do is to meet the needs of the people in the community and to shape an environment, or to provide an environment that is conducive to that. Many times when churches do program, it's done out of the sanctuary. A part of the plan that we're doing with the developer, aside from the sanctuary, is to create a youth-friendly space, or a community space where we can run programs to meet the needs of persons in the community. And this will be open to anyone. It's not just the parishioners alone, but whatever the needs are in the community, we want to use this space to do that. We also will be having a banquet hall as well that we can use for social functions. And as Mr. Bell would have just said, putting up the apartment buildings that would lend itself to home ownership, as well as somewhat renting and other programs to meet the needs of the people in the community.
Thank you. Yeah, so just taking a step back, as I mentioned, just sort of the genesis of the relationship. So CMC Development Group has been, really advocates of working with churches, and this is perhaps, I think, our 6th church project. So we're accustomed to sort of working in communities and working with churches. So we've done several of these similar projects here in the Bronx. We have some we've done in Brooklyn, and then we have some that we're actually doing in New Jersey as well, in other parts of the country. And the reason why we've partnered with churches is that we recognize churches have valuable real estate that oftentimes they are having trouble maintaining, or the real estate itself is getting to a place where it needs to be replaced. So we've created these partnerships that allow us to sort of build new facilities for them, create affordable housing, And it's not only affordable housing. I should mention that we do a lot of home ownership, and we do some luxury home ownership with churches, if you can believe that. But it all depends on location. But our main focus is ensuring that we can create a product and a building that really meets the needs of the community, really works in a way that adds value to the community, and it really takes into consideration all the concerns that the community might have. So the reason why we're expressing ourselves here today is really, again, to request your support, but as we've had in previous meetings and previous conversations, is to also hear from you and hear from the community in terms of what's important, and we try to make sure we can do those things. And then when possible, we'll also tell you if we think we can or cannot do something. So we have a history of working with communities. We have a history of building, I think, great products in terms of real estate and things that create a true partnership, especially when we're working with churches, right? So they're our development partner. We're not just building and not taking care of them, but they're in the transaction itself. So we've been working with Ebenezer Pilgrim for a number of years in sort of structuring this deal, and we've gone through a number of iterations as we've adjusted to the times as it relates to financing changes at the city level. And I think we're now at a place where our course is set to kind of bring this thing to fruition. One of the other things I want to point out is, my history in terms of working here in the Bronx has been really steeped in community development. And the real estate aspect, and real estate development in particular, is just a part of that, right? So you can't really just build a building. You've got to have community around it. You've got to have services and programs and people who feel like they're a part of it. And they're young people that we also have to impact. So one of the things that we have at CMC is what's called a Future Developers Program. And there we teach young folks to go through the entire development process. So not just on the construction side, but really understanding how do you develop projects. How do you put together the financing? How do you structure the deal? How do you take it all the way to the end and when the building is open? And all the things around that, because it's about really building a future. And those activities and those young people should come from the communities that we work in. And some of you have expressed, concerns around making sure that we have local hires and local talent. And I can tell you, and you can go and research me. You'll see my history is based around those kinds of activities. I was, one of the authors of the Bronx Terminal Market PLA back in 2006 or whatever it was, that we got the Target and all of that opened up. So I'm steeped in understanding what community is about, and we want to make sure that we're building something that the church is going to be proud of, because there are a lot of stories of what happens to churches. So we're envisioning, again, a building that is state-of-the-art, a building that will, provide either a home ownership opportunity or at least a rental opportunity for families. And we're talking through the city now and trying to figure out how to get all of that done. And then we're trying to also address.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bell, can you just share with us the location?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
And you guys had a really nice presentation when you came to committee. Do you have that?
I do. I wasn't sure if we would need it, but I do have it.
Just to show our other community members that were not
Who
here.
do I give this to?
You can give it, can you, John or Frank, would he be able to give you the USB, or do you want me to? Okay.
I need some context.
Sure. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I thought you guys had gotten some of this information before, but.
So next to the location, we have two other buildings that are up. So the location is 216, and also on White Plains Road as well, because it's like an L. So it's from the White Plains Road coming around into 216. So around us we have two apartment buildings to our right, and obliquely opposite, there is a prep school. Yeah, prep school that's obliquely opposite. Otherwise than that, it's just regular shops. You have salons, supermarkets. You have Western Beef. There's a motel, and there are a few other churches around the area.
If I may, Madam Chair, if I may, I just would like the board members to know that Mr. Bell, they made a presentation to the Housing Committee at our last committee meeting. And as far as what we like and don't like, parking becomes questionable because it's minimal from the church level. It's a great idea to have home ownership. And you have a great following. By a show of hands, how many people are here from Pilgrim? Just raise your hand. As you can see, they have a great following, which is fantastic. All right. They are right next to the Regent School, and they are down the block from Richard Green.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at you as being a hero's welcome for people who may have peer pressure coming home from school, especially in Richard Green. And I did ask you that.
Yes.
All right. So at this point, where we stand right now, probably we will get a quorum and review this again. Hopefully, it went from 94 units to 80-something units, and maybe it would go down a little bit more, but maybe you can find some room to get some more parking. It would be advantageous in the best interest of the neighborhood, because parking is of paramount importance. And it's something, and you know this, Mr. Bell, it's something that you really cannot take for granted nowadays. So that is just a mere suggestion, because the idea of home ownership is fantastic. And you have a great following, which is also fantastic. And your location in the L shape, I just saw the empty land as I was coming up here on the bus. You really have the empty space that you're going to work with, and it would be in the best interest of the neighborhood. So we're going to talk again, all right? We'll have more people, and hopefully the board members will show in unison, all right? I yield. Thank you.
Hi, Denise Echeverria. I believe, I just want to reiterate that these jobs need to go to Bronx residents as well. And I think it's wonderful that it's going to be a church with community-based organizations, nonprofit, whatever you said, you're going to have a community center and all that. That's wonderful, okay? But it has to also be prevailing wage. You know, I'm a union carpenter. I think I mentioned to you before. You can speak to the union, and we have different out-of-borough rates. Again, people need not only build this, but be able to afford to live in there as well. I truly believe that. And you know, in the Bronx, we really need these kind of jobs. You know, it's a game changer for our families. Also, you know, we're well skilled. We build it faster, we're safer. You know, in the end, you get your money's worth, okay? And that's really what I'm really concerned about, as well as the parking situation. It's going to be ridiculous, okay?
Okay. Can I address you?
Yeah.
Respond, sure. You know, I totally agree with what you're saying, right? I'm always, whatever communities we're working in, I believe in local hires, both on the construction side, but just as important, all the other things that go into the development process, because it's not just the construction. It's also people that are supplying things. There's also consultants and other folks. So I believe in sort of working with those folks as well. In terms of prevailing wage, we've done several prevailing wage projects before, so that's not an issue for me, right? Where it gets a little tough, and I'm being as frank as I can, usually the general contractors tend to push back on it because it increases the price, they have more paperwork and all those things. But on our side, my very first project was a prevailing wage project, so I'm not adverse to that. So I believe in getting, you know, the best wages out that we can get out. As long as it works and is funded, I'm all for it.
Okay, but you would want Bronx residents to be able to afford to live in there.
Yes.
I mean, what kind of message that is sending is that we can build them, but we can't live in them. And I don't think it's fair to our community as a whole. And these jobs need to go to Bronx residents.
Right, well, I think you're raising 2 points. One is I agree with you on the prevailing wage side of things and so forth. And yes, we have to build it so it's affordable, right? So there's a little bit of a conflict sometimes, right? Because prevailing wages by nature drives up the cost of construction.
But you said there's going to be luxury, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said there's going to be luxury apartments as well as affordable and home ownerships.
Well,
Okay.
I didn't say luxury as it pertains to this. I said
No,
home
you said it was,
ownership.
I remember hearing a few luxury apartments
Yeah,
as
I
well.
said we also do luxury apartments. I didn't, not for this project.
Okay.
That's a different
All right.
market.
But in the long run, it is cheaper to go union. I'm sorry, we've skilled, well-skilled.
I'm not gonna be- I'm
We
not
do it
gonna argue- I'm not
faster
arguing
and we
with you. I
do it
totally-
safer.
I totally agree with you.
So can you agree to at least bring us to the table, excuse me, to at least bring this to the table?
Absolutely. And I mentioned to.
Okay, and we also have the, capabilities of having the Bronx residents, Union Bronx residents workers as well.
Okay.
So that's a win-win situation for everyone all around.
And I'm in total agreement with you. I also just want to say that we're not in complete control of the pot of money, because that money comes from a separate pot that the city says, this is the pot we have and this is what we're getting. Just so you're aware of that. And also it comes down from the federal government, which might these days be a challenge. So keep that in mind. But
Well,
we can go-
there are federal government programs that request prevailing wage union as well. Like you said earlier, PLA is one of them.
Yes.
And we have a different out-of-borough rate.
Denise, I'm sorry. We just want to start showing the slide so people can see. Yes, we're gonna answer questions. We're gonna go in order, but we also want to share the screen. Okay, Denise. Anything else? Okay. Okay. Carl.
Yeah, I just have one or two questions. Does this building you're putting up coincide with the local zoning, or do you have to come for a zoning variance?
No, it's within the zoning regulations, so there's no need for like a rezoning or anything like that.
Okay, but what I'm going to ask you now, I need you to come to a land use committee meeting, like the public hearing, so we can have a public hearing from the community.
Yeah, I think I was at a similar meeting recently.
Yeah, well, nobody told me you were going to be there, so I wasn't there. And I am the chair. And I would like to have a presentation to the full community. What you planning on doing sounds good, but you got 1 and 2 family houses all around there. And parking is, as you can see when you're down there, there's no parking anywhere. So I would ask you to look to get some type of parking in this project so people could park, because it's congested there. It's a very congested area, and it needs to be attended to.
I agree. Parking comes up as an issue because it is a real issue in every neighborhood. But one of the things that HPD has been sort of are pushing folks away from is doing the parking, because they don't want to really pay for it, right? Because it's so expensive. So I would also ask for your support in helping us have that conversation with them to say, listen, parking is important. Let's figure out a way to pay for it.
Well, I will tell you one thing right now. I believe if the land use committee had a hearing on this, we would not approve the project without parking. I'll just give you it off the top of my head, because it's desperation around here.
Right.
And you don't want somebody driving around the block for 2 hours looking for a spot.
Well, it's a challenge. We just go by the rules. So we
Yeah,
may need
well,
to have you come in with us and kind of help push that issue.
Because I know the rule, because you're close to public transportation, you don't need parking, which is a lot of baloney. Because people who live in these buildings do drive. I don't care. They're not going to run out the door and hop the train or the bus. They're going to take their car to where they want to go. So that's an important factor for the community. I mean, it's a great idea you have. I have no issues with that, but I have issues what this can cause eventually.
Thank you, Carl. We have a few more questions, but I do want folks to also hear the part of the home ownership, which is important for our community as well.
Thank you. That was going to be my question. Just to clarify, I know that you said home ownership, but you're also saying affordable housing. So how does that coincide with each other? Is it co-ops, condos? Like, if you could just clarify that.
The home ownership part of it would be affordable, so it would be subsidized. Because if we were to build this building, a lot of folks would not be able to afford it, given the construction costs and everything else that it would entail, right? So that's one reason why you see, luxury buildings and higher end type buildings in other parts of the city and not necessarily in other neighborhoods. It's just a cost because the end product would be that much more prohibitive to folks. So this would be something that we're approaching the city on to really say to them, listen, you have a desire for home ownership, community wants home ownership, let's figure out how we do that. So there would be a need for subsidy. And if that doesn't work, because you never know where they are in terms of their funding, then we're looking at a typical rental model. So either way, we're going to have affordable housing of some sort. But what we've always talked about, because of this location, is home ownership would be ideal.
I want to thank you guys for coming again and presenting this plan. I think it's really important that we support affordable housing made and supported by people in the community. This is not some external entity coming in and building housing for anybody. This is a community-led activation for affordable housing in a supportive environment. And we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Sure, we would love to tack on free parking, and every other thing, home ownership, which is desperately important and desperately needed. But the fact of the matter is that you're here today to ask for a letter of support so that you can provide affordable housing for an as-of-right development. And you've already been to 2 community board meetings. I think that the showing we have here today shows that this is in the community interest. We need affordable housing. We can't wait. We can't just delay this and have you guys come at every single meeting to show your support. We need it now. And you guys are asking not for approval. You can build this right now if you wanted to, and you can make it luxury if you wanted to. But you're coming here saying, hey, we want the support of the community, which is obvious, so that you can go to HPD and say, hey, people care about this. You're building a good project. The community supports you, and here's why HPD should cut you a check so that you can do affordable housing in the neighborhood, by this community. And there's a lot of things that we can ask for, and there's a lot of things that regulation in terms of we need to fight for, but that doesn't mean that we should turn this into a protracted battle where one developer who comes out of the good notion to talk with us is punted down the road. We can have these arguments, these fights to defend workers' rights, housing rights, but I don't think we should make an example out of one developer or development to make those points. I think we need to support this. We've had support. We've had a quorum at the last community meeting that you've attended. We've had broad support from people in the community coming to these meetings.
Luke, we didn't have quorum at the last meeting. That's why we couldn't vote, and we pushed it to have them come present. So just for our board members to know, just for our board members, the reason why this matter now has to be pushed further is because we did not have quorum, right? And so that's why you all attending your committees is super important. But it is important that you guys are here. So I would just like to show the presentation. If you can put that on for us.
One last thing is that the reason HPD pushes back on the free parking is that actually reduces the number of units, and that makes because it makes the housing more expensive. Whenever you put it in a parking space, that means 0.75 units of people who can't live there because the parking is there. So when you put in more parking, that means you're reducing the number of families who could benefit from stable housing. And this is rent-stabilized housing. This is those types of apartments that people dream of. 20,000 applicants apply for. I think this is something that we should be fighting for, and we shouldn't water it down or anything. Thank you, guys.
You can just scroll it down. I mean, I can just quickly zip through it. Yeah, well, this is the project overview page. So the project again is located at 708 East 216th Street. It is currently an L-shaped design, so hence the way the buildings are sort of made into an L shape. And right below that, where you see those other structures, we'll have open space for the tenants and also the church. And then 2 floors, approximately 10,000 square feet of new church space, both the sanctuary and then community and program and office space for the church. And what we typically do in these projects is we not only have, we do the church sanctuary and community space, but we also do a commercial kitchen as well. And the church has an ongoing food pantry, so that would be, extended out in a way that's more practical and efficient for the folks who use it. Right. And then just from a design perspective, the architect that we're currently working with, the DXA Studios, and they're on the line, but we've done several projects with them. They're pretty innovative with what they do, and our charge to them is always around sustainability and creating, green and efficient projects. And just a little tidbit, I built probably the first or the second green building in the Bronx, with green roof systems and all of those things. So my initiative on sustainability just continues around ensuring that we create healthy buildings that are actually also great buildings that you can go into and families could be comfortable in. So.
We have a clear
Okay.
view now, so I don't know if you want to pick a page.
Um,
You have a question? Okay.
Yeah, you can scroll down. It's most of the stuff I've already covered. So this again is just a block of the building, and you can keep going. Yeah. So as you see, this sort of gives you a sense of the courtyard. So it'll be an inner courtyard of open space, which is a premium in New York City. So a lot of the buildings that we work on, we create those open spaces as well. And we'll sacrifice units, but we'll have open spaces so kids can come out and people can sit outside. And the idea is, the way the buildings are set up, that you should be able to see from any of your units what's happening in that courtyard area, right? So, yes, next one, please. I think the other slides are primarily about all the partners that are involved in the project. Yeah, that's fine. So this is an example of a project that we completed last year for St. Peter's Ministries over on Home and Simpson Street. So we have everything in color, if you will. The colorful side of the building, the first 2 floors is the new church. So they now have an 8,000 square foot church. The church building had previously, basically was about to fall over. And it had been in complete disrepair. So we've created a new space for them, commercial kitchen. They have a great sanctuary space, program space, and also a fellowship hall. So they have, and it's their own self-contained unit. So they own that space. So that's the other thing that's key. The churches in all of our transactions, they own their space, right? And then they own a portion of the residential with us as well. So we share in the economics that's involved there.
Okay. Mr. Hall, do you want the floor?
Yes. Due to the, yeah. Oh, please, by all means.
Hi. First, I'd like to say thank you, Pastor, for your work in the community and the work you want to do. My name is Nick Rosa. My major concerns with this project is for the workers building it. I think the project itself looks very good. I like the design of the building. I like the green spaces. But as we know, in this city, the construction industry is notorious for being dangerous. There's lots of worker deaths, and the workers are often taken advantage of. So I'd love for you to come out here and make it a commitment to say that you're going to do this project 100% union. But I don't expect that. I would like commitments from both the developer and the church to say this is a prevailing wage job and a job that's going to have an apprenticeship that's registered with the Department of Labor of the state of New York. The benefits for this is we know that the workers aren't going to be taken advantage of. They're going to be paid a living wage instead of poverty wages. The first step in helping this community is making sure that the people you hire are getting paid living wages. And then also with the Registered Apprentice Committee, we know that there's going to be some sort of formalized training for the workers there. They're going to be safer. It's going to have less deaths. It's going to have less injuries. And the project will probably get completed on time, if not faster, and probably under budget. And when you say, oh, prevailing wage makes the job more expensive, plenty of studies have shown that prevailing wage jobs are actually less expensive, especially when you consider the lawsuits that yourself, Pastor, are opening your church up to when you have unskilled workers on the job that get hurt. That is what drives up cost of construction in this city. And then also, like Denise said, if we can build it, we should be able to afford to live in it. And the first step to do that is to pay prevailing wage. I'd also like to hear from anybody in the community how they feel on these subjects. But thank you very much for your time.
May I respond? Yeah. Again, I want to express to you that we're kind of on the same team. But I also want to be very clear about something, because one thing I like to be is as transparent as possible. The way prevailing wages work, right? We cannot stand here and say it's going to be prevailing wage. The city has their own resources, and they tell us what they're going to fund and how they're going to fund it. We don't have a control over that, right? So just so I'm clear. Now, if there's an opportunity to do it, as I said earlier, I've done several of them, so it's not a problem with us doing it. But I'm just letting you know. So you're asking for commitment, and I'm saying to you that we can't give you commitment. However, I'm more than willing, as I've expressed before, to work with you to get us there. If there's an opportunity, I'm your guy.
There's nothing saying the owner of the property or the developer cannot put in their contract with their contractors and subcontractors that they will pay prevailing wage. You absolutely can make that commitment. Either one of you or both of you can make that commitment.
Right. Well,
there's nothing saying you can't. You're waiting for the person giving you money to make that commitment. Go a step ahead, make that commitment yourself. Okay. And another thing, if we do write a letter in support or funding for them, I would at least like the letter to have language asking for a prevailing wage and a registered apprentice program.
And once again, I'm all for you. Just so we're clear. I'm not saying I'm not with you. I'm saying I'm with you. Make sure you get that clear. But what I'm also saying to you, that some of these things are not within our control. That's all I'm saying to you.
Nick, we could put that on our letter.
Listen,
we can add that to our letter.
Listen,
but we could do.
I've been working in the Bronx and in this field for 26 years, and I assure you that I'm not making this up. Right?
Mr. Bell, I'm sorry, we just have a bunch of full agenda. We're going to go to Chuck and then Mr. Hall.
It's been stated that this project is being built around other homes in the area. And I see the support, and I heard about the support that you get for this. And anytime, I'd rather have housing over cars and parking anytime, because people are way more important than cars. But what we have to do is take into consideration the parking, because we just had one of our neighbors killed about a week ago. Because somebody was parking in their driveway with these homes. Now, in the area that I live in, Wakefield, there's fights that I have stopped because of senior citizens, because some people are parking in people's driveways and they can't get out. And that's a concern, all right? But I'm in support of this project, all right? Because I see my brothers and sisters over there, and they have been supporting this and coming, so I'm gonna vote yes, all right, just to let you know. But if we can just take into consideration of the parking, because like I said, those are unnecessary fights that are going on, and we know that people need a place to park, but you can't really block up people's driveways, you know, because it might be an emergency where somebody has to take someone to the hospital, and someone's parked there, and then you don't even know who the person is, you know, and then it eventually leads up to a confrontation, which most of the time winds up critical or deadly. So that's all I had to say.
Okay. now you've heard from this robust board, and everyone is in agreement. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to take this opportunity to call for a vote.
Yes, we just have one more board member. Itonia, you had one more question, and then we'll go to your vote.
Okay.
Hi. I was on the 2 other previous Zoom meetings, and yes, I do love your floor plans. So we just have to confirm just some things for clarity. You're not against affordable housing.
No, we're not.
You will go forward to make sure that the housing that you do provide is actually affordable to the people that live here, to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
You will take our suggestions of that, putting in your proposals to the city, that it be prevailing wage. Now, the city can tell you no, but you will fight your hardest to see that it gets a yes.
Yes, we can.
Then we're good.
Yeah, and again, we've built a prevailing wage, so it's not something we're against.
Okay.
And just let me say something. Many questions have been asked, and some of the very same questions you have asked, Sean can agree, we've had those conversations. And the very same thing that what he is saying is also what's communicated to him, because we spoke about, even this evening, can we employ people from the community to be involved in the project? The last time you were here, we also spoke about doing it in an environmentally friendly way. We spoke about, can persons from the community afford? And then, like they would have explained, the price for the for the apartments, if you do the parking, it's going to go up. And people are talking about affordable, and somebody mentioned it the last time. If it's between a certain bracket, you want to say it's not affordable. But what has to be considered all the different elements and the funding that's coming in and what's available. So the questions that you've asked, we've also asked as a church as well. The same question to the developers as well to the city. So what you're sharing with us is not that it's not a concern, but also there are confinements, and we're trying to work around that. So what we can promise you is to do the best of our abilities based on what you've asked, to engage the city, and then to see what they will agree to. We're not saying or shutting it down. We just tell me this is what we have and what we have to work with. But we're committing to work with you and the city to see what's possible.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wayne? And then we'll continue.
Sorry, and this is just a comment. I mean, all that you're doing right here, we think is wonderful. We need housing, right? But you're knocking down what? Maybe 12 single to 2-family homes, right? Or maybe we're
No.
not. But I'm just saying, what was there before?
No, it's just a church.
Just the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's always the church, right?
Yeah, the church and there's a parking.
All right, so basically you're saying that, so there was no one basically living there at that time, no one, right? And now you're adding almost, how many people will be added to this now, to this community as a whole?
Well, we hope to
80
have
units,
we hope
right.
to have about 80 units.
Right, and that's why the folks are talking about the parking, because now you're adding 80 units that this community wasn't created to absorb. We also, not only that, this is just comment to what's going to affect us. Families are going to be living in that building, right? So schools are also a problem also now. How do we accommodate all of those kids and give your kid the best education possible in this community that they don't have to go elsewhere, which is good. I say it's a good thing, but they're just trying to say, look, these are all the impacts that are going to take place when you start adding all these units. And it's not just your unit. There's all the other units that are being added in the Northeast Bronx that we see going up. And all the amenities that are supposed to support these families, not there. And we're trying to figure out how best as a community board that we can ensure that the people who come in here and live here and buy this apartment, their children are going to get the things that they need, and the community is going to have the things that they need. And right now, we're not seeing how it's going to work. And that's why we're saying what we're saying.
Yeah, there's no silver bullet, but you know, we're committed to trying to figure out how we get all of those things in place, right? It's the same challenges that you guys are raising are the same challenges we see all across the board. So it's not just specific to this community, right? But the need for housing, you know, goes without saying. We completed a project in 2020 with Thessalonia Baptist Church over in Prospect Avenue. We have 120 units in that building. Only 48 of them were advertised through the Housing Connect. We had 49,050 applications. So that's the demand. My first project, which was a prevailing wage project.
Mr. But I'm so sorry, but we do have to continue. Mr. Hall?
Yes, I'm going to ask that we call for a vote since we had the general meeting. And we're all in agreement for a variety of reasons. So that being said, Madam Chair, can we call for a vote?
Yes.
Somebody
has to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the request for HPD funding for this project. And we furthermore ask that prevailing wage is made an element of the contract. We ask that an internship program registered with the Department of Labor is incorporated into the contract. What else? And thank you so much. That's the motion.
I second it.
I second it.
Is this a letter of support?
Yes, a letter of support.
Oh, gee, I didn't even know that was what you had on the floor.
We're quick tonight. We want to vote.
Jesus Christ.
Letter of support
Jesus.
with some asks.
Is the motion clear for our board members? Thank you. Yes. Okay. Everybody's clear? Okay. So now,
Taking a roll call.
now we're going to take a roll call.
Judith Benitez, aye. Carlton Berkeley. Yes. Carla Basardi. Aye. Patricia Boswell. Not present. Broomfield Armstrong Michelle is excused. Desiree Campbell. Not present. Sadie Campbell. Okay, I just want to make sure. And she's excused. Joan Claude. Etonia Davis. Tolene Dixon.
May I ask, is this roll call or is this the vote?
This is the vote.
I abstain.
Tierra Donaldson. Denise Echeverria. Jaslyn Farmer. Alfredo Figueroa. Sabrina Fisher. Sabrina Fisher. You said abstain. Katika Fuentes is excused. Johnny Goff. Not present. Darren Grant. Is he on virtual? Because he said he was going to be on virtual. Okay, not present. Actually, he's excused. Sheila Grayson? Yes. That's what she said. Robert Hall?
Aye.
John Isaac? James Theodore? Is he on virtual? Not present. Alpha Kamara? Robert Link? Javid Malik? Mark? Lucille Martin? I believe she's...
I am abstain.
You abstaining?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mamsa Mansa? Antoinette Mitchell? Andrea Murray is excused. Clinton Mike? Carmen Ortiz? Is Is she on the screen? She said aye? Thank you.
I
Wayne
gotta
Palmer.
unmute. Okay, now, hi.
Okay. Hi, Carmen.
Hi, how
Wayne
you
Palmer.
doing?
Reginald Paris. Ariel Peters. Is Ariel here? She's not present. Okay. Dominique Finn. Anthony Reed, not present. Nicholas Rosa. Dr. Sherry Samuels. Karen Skinner is excused. Carl Sturker. Benga Savera. Luke Sabados.
Aye.
Deborah Toyotto is excused. Damon Tontin. Deborah Walker is excused. Beatrice Coronel. The ayes have it at this point. Okay?
Thank you.
Congratulations. This is one of the largest audience members we've had this year so far, so you've made your statement. And so we will be following up with a support letter with the recommendations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to our public gallery speakers. Maurice Hurd. And just as a reminder, 2.5 minutes to speak and then 30 seconds to discuss. You don't want the floor? Okay. Going once, going twice. Joseph, is that the same with you? Joseph? Okay. You get 2.5 minutes.
Can't guarantee it'll be 2.5 minutes, so feel free to shut me up at any moment, all right? Hello, everyone. My name is Joseph Urbina. I'm the director of our Family Enrichment Center, coming to Williamsbridge and Baychester, but serving the District 12 community at large. I'm here to give you a regular progress report that I intend to keep going as frequent as I possibly can. I'm going around throughout different councils, just trying to make our presence known and get the community involved. But because there's such a large turnout, I feel like I'd like to introduce myself a little bit and just speak a little bit towards who I am and where I come from, and hopefully some of you may identify. Little fun fact, I said this during a eulogy I just gave the other day, so hopefully it's not too down, but up, right?
1 minute.
Thank you. If you want to hear about the initiative, talk to me afterwards, because there ain't no time. I grew up in dysfunction. There was a prominent lack of stability, security, and structure when I was growing up in the Bronx. While I never felt an absence of love, on my end, there was a clear sense of loneliness and a lack of community. Unfortunately, decisions influenced by the disease of addiction were made that left my siblings and I constantly faced with adversity and subjected to what felt like an endless cycle of dysfunction. Growing up, I had a village of role models. Ironically, they were models of everything we needed to grow beyond and get away from. While I never judged or resented, I knew I didn't want to join that legacy. However, here I am today to speak on a beautiful initiative that you'll hear about, the Family Enrichment Center, coming to District 12 very soon. And I wanted to celebrate some of our recent wins. I wanted to tell you about what we're here to do, but because of time, I hope I piqued your interest at the very least, so you can pull me aside. I have several members of our advisory council in attendance, some part of this council, some in attendance here. You guys can wave if you're curious to do so. And I really do implore you guys, reach out to us, speak to us, because we can't move forward without the community's involvement. That little intro I gave you was very intentional, because the only way we can move forward for generational prosperity, especially in District 12, is if we can get each individual of our community involved in this initiative. It's totally free. There are plenty of resources. It's community-centered, community-led, and I wish I can only tell you more. But what I will say is we're building our team. We just hired 3 full-time staff members, community liaison, family advocates. We have 8 advisory council members currently during our early informal stage.
We're currently seeking out a space to set up shop as our FEC hub, and we're looking to build partnerships throughout the community because we want to go out and host some town halls. We want to capture your voice, whether it be surveys or through activities that you can communicate beyond just filling out a piece of paper. We need your voice so we can move forward. And I implore you, as I've said a few times, please pull me aside. Talk to me.
Can I tell you now?
Absolutely, talk to me.
Cool. Do you know where Evander High School is?
Yes.
Right across the street, there used to be a Rite Aid. Humongous lot. Right? It is a resale space. I'm not entirely sure who actually owns the property, like the lot itself at this point, but that would be a really viable space for you. Because it's quite literally across the street from the high school. It's down the street from my alma mater, which is Richard R. Green School, and it's centered in the residential area, which would definitely need your services. Because there really isn't sort of like a social aspect until you get further down Boston Road. Like in terms of medical facilities, then you would have to go all the way up Gun Hill Road. So you're in a nice little nucleus where people don't have to go to extremes.
Okay.
All right?
You know what the best part about that suggestion?
What's up?
It came from community.
That is very true.
Thank you very much. There are certain parameters with our property. We have a budget. We have certain, like I said, parameters. But I'm going to look into that property, and I really hope that everything checks out. Because if it was a Rite Aid, that sounds like a lot of
It's
space.
Cherry Valley took over. Cherry Valley.
Oh, it's not
owns
available
it.
anymore.
They own it.
Wow.
They're turning it into a laundromat.
A bank.
Okay.
No.
Well, I will also add, and we can continue the discussion about where we can set up shop, but we want to get involved with community. We want to host these town halls and service offerings. If you know anyone, whether they be principals of schools, parent coordinators, library managers, even the district managers, wherever they may be, introduce us, get them familiar with the Family Enrichment Center because we need space so that way community can come together and get involved. All right? Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
All right. My team has distributed some flyers. Everyone in the audience has it, and I'll make sure you guys have it as well. It has all our contact information. But if you're writing this down, my name is Joseph Urbina. I'm the director of our Family Enrichment Center coming to Williamsbridge and Baychester communities in District 12. My email is JURB as in boy, INA @bronxworks.org. BronxWorks is our backbone agency.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And as for that Rite Aid space going to be a laundromat, we needed Sean Bell to help us negotiate what that could have been. Okay, and now we're going to give the floor to our council member, Dinowitz.
Tell him to put it in the chat.
Good evening. This feels like the wood was put on backwards. Because, right, the wood is supposed to prevent the paper from doing this. All right. So I'm just going to leave this here. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Eric Dinowitz, your city council member. And for those of you that do know me, hey. Good to see you again. I have been very, very busy, very busy. In fact, today we were just in the Wakefield Library. For those of you who have followed me on Instagram, sign up for my newsletter, and follow me on social media, we hold office hours in the Wakefield Library once a month. My district office is in Kingsbridge, but since taking office, I said, you know, I want to make sure that I have a presence outside of the Kingsbridge neighborhood. So we go to Wakefield Library once a month. We go to the Van Cortlandt Library, the Mosholu Library, and the Riverdale Library branches just to make sure there's a presence outside in the district. So we were just there today. If you sign up for my newsletter at ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter, which makes it very easy to remember, ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter, you can sign up for my newsletter to get all of the great news updates from the community and a calendar of when I'll be around the community. Actually, I kind of lied. I didn't start out at the library. When I first took office in April, we set up tables outside because we hadn't worked out with the library. So I was literally setting up a table on like Nareed Avenue and White Plains Road to get out into the community. We've been very busy at City Hall. I don't think I updated you on my City of Yes vote, but last time I was here, we spoke about it. It was right before the vote. I shared a lot of concerns. I think a lot of the concerns that people on the board shared. I ultimately voted against City of Yes. It passed, I think it was 31 to 20. And my concerns were taking away your voice from the community. That was my general concern. It passed, and what that means just more specifically for the area of Wakefield is you're going to have in the future more, or you have the ability to have more development, particularly around the subway, where right now the maximum in like an R5A, it's called, is 2 stories. Now they're going to be able to build like 5-story apartment buildings. And they're going to be able to do this with smaller parking requirements. And I hear from all of you, parking's a real issue here. So that was a huge concern about the passage of this bill. If I have the wire, I feel like a stand-up comedian, so I don't know if I want the wire. What's the deal with the wires? The original bill had, for instance, eliminated parking minimums on all development. We significantly scaled that back. We scaled back a number of things, but to me, it was still taking away too much of your voice. I want to compare that with another development that's come before the board. That's Wakefield Village. I'm going to be in contact with the board about this, but we're going to start some more community engagement around this. The difference between Wakefield Village and the types of development that are approved in City of Yes is the Wakefield Village project is going through what's called a ULURP, which means it has to come before a vote of the board. It has to come with or without a borough president recommendation and ultimately a city council vote. And what that does, it gives us a lot more say in what the development looks like. So we've already been engaging with them. I know people on the board have been engaging with them, and we're going to hold a few community engagement sessions. So I want you to look out for that, and you can look out for it if you sign up for my newsletter at ericdenota.nyc/newsletter. And of course, we're going to be in communication with the board over it. One piece of legislation I want to share with you that I passed that was just enacted recently that I'm very proud of deals with 311. Now, I know any of you who've called 311 or have used the 311 app before have said, 311, there's a car parked by the hydrant, or there's a tree pit that's empty, or there's illegal dumping, or you name the problem, the heat in your apartment, you name it, you've called 311 for it. You put in the app, 2 seconds later you look down, and it says it's closed. You're all laughing because you know it's true, right? And you have no recourse. You're like, but it's not. And you just yell at your phone. Sometimes you throw your phone, and you have to buy a new phone because you broke the screen. But I passed a bill that does a few things. One, it allows you to directly provide feedback on whether your case was closed or whether you're satisfied with your case. I have always found that's really important. Like, we did it as teachers, like assessing whether you did a good job or not. So now they have to ask you, did we do a good job? And you can answer yes or no, and then you can type you're supposed to be able to type a little anecdote. Importantly, what it allows you to do, the legislation says you can reopen your case, making it a lot easier for you to reopen the case. But the other thing I'm most excited about, and we've been going to some of the community boards, we've been reaching out, and we're going to start doing trainings on it, is there is now a public dashboard of the customer satisfaction surveys. A public dashboard where everyone in New York City can see how well our city agencies are performing. Now, this is really important for all of you to know, like, am I alone? Am I the only one who calls 311 is not getting heat in my apartment? Am I the only one complaining about the pothole that's not being filled? And you'll be able to see it. But also importantly, we in the city council, whose job it is to have oversight over these agencies, now have the data to more effectively conduct our oversight hearings. So this was a really, really big, important bill in terms of transparency and accountability for our city agencies. There is an actual website for the dashboard, but I can just tell you, go to ericdinowitz.nyc/311dashboard. It forwards to it. It's not my website. It forwards to it, ericdinowitz.nyc/311dashboard, to see what the dashboard looks like. And again, we've been reaching out to the community boards to do trainings on how to read it properly. I have a number of other bills that seek to address all of the problems you've had with 311, and I know you've all had a lot of them. And the laws that I pass and write are all based on your outreach to my office. Your frustrations or your ideas, we implement them to law. So if you go to ericdinowitz.nyc/311, you can read all of the bills that I have in my, what I call the CARE 311 package. We have a lot. We've passed a couple of them, and I encourage you to look at them. And I encourage you all to reach out to my office if there's any ideas you have, anything you need, because my job is to represent all of you. Sometimes I represent you by making sure that tree is planted. Sometimes I represent you by working with Borough President Gibson to get $360,000 to the Wakefield branch for accessibility upgrades. And sometimes I represent you by implementing your feedback into legislation or into other budget items. That is my job, to represent you. And I have to say, it is a real honor to represent all of you. I am most effective at my job when you talk to me, when you reach out to me, when you let me know what you need. That's how I can best fight for all of you, when I know what you need. And that's why I encourage everyone here, if there's anything, reach out to my office, or in Chucky's case, text me. That's what he does, texts me. And I look forward to hearing from you and helping you. And I don't know if anyone had any questions or anything they wanted to share, if we had even time for that. But I know just one from Chucky, though.
What I wanted to say is, Eric, I really want to thank you, right, and your father, because you guys really do come and listen to us. What Eric did when there was a police issue, that the police stopped people and they didn't want it recorded, Eric called me because of my experience and said, well, Chucky, what do you think about it? I said, anytime a police officer stops anybody, right, they should fill out that form. It only takes about 10, 15 seconds, and the police didn't want to do it. And that's how we led up to the stop and frisk. So he does call, and I thanked him for calling me because of my experience, and also for the yes. He listened to us when we had said, no, we didn't want it, at least in the Wakefield and certain other areas. Also, the housing complex with the elevators. You know, those elevators was going out all the time. He listened to them, and he got something like $300,000, $400,000 or whatever it was for the complex over there. So I just want to say, I really appreciate you coming out and listening to us when we say we don't want something in what we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I know.
Did you hire Chucky?
I feel like I should. I do want to mention one thing. As you know, because he mentioned it, my father is Assemblyman Dinowitz, and I do have to say I learned a lot from him about being, responsive and listening to the community. So props to my dad for showing me the ropes when it comes to this stuff. Of course.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here in
everybody.
person. Okay, now we're gonna continue.
Wesley Walsh.
Another one here. It's on now. I'm Wesley Walsh. I live on 235th Street in Woodlawn. I'm going to be honest. I thought I was going to talk to you guys before you voted. So for the last few days, I'm stressing out about writing and what I'm going to say, and you voted yes anyway, so it seems kind of useless at this point. But I do want to say thank you to everybody. I don't know where those guys went that were here. Oh, there you are. Anyway, thank you for hearing out them and everybody else and willing to do this project. Can you tell us what you're talking about? Oh, I'm sorry, about the project about prevailing wage and a registered apprentice program. I think that it's very important for the community to be able to, like this lady said before, the people who build their community should be able to afford to live in it. And I think that's one of the most important things. And a registered apprentice program makes things as safe as possible. In an industry like construction, it becomes more and more dangerous when you have more and more inexperienced people doing it. And the best way to give people experience is through an apprentice program where they learn from people who know what they're doing. I don't know, that's kind of the abridged version. But thank you. Thank you.
Ryan Lynch.
Good afternoon, all. I actually wanted to ask a question before you guys voted, but it's all good. I live in the community over Wakefield, to be exact, 215th Street, for over 2 decades. And when you purchase a home, what do you look for? Do you look for security, schooling, peace and quiet? So what that looks for when you instill 80 families where seniors been living for 30 years, 40 years, with the noise of new tenants, with the constant upscotching over of the poops, right? And also, I never hear anything in regards to the developments, what resource center are being put in place for at-risk youth. Because as we know, we want to be honest, low-income communities, right? Most of the mothers are single. Most of the kids are from single families. Sometimes mom has to work 2, 3 jobs to maintain the family, right? So would you say that most of the times the kids are home by themselves? And kids yearn for family. And if they can't get it at home, where do they get it? In the street. So I've heard anything talking about we're going to build a community center where the kids could go, where they could get information about college, where they could get information about trade school, where they could get information about military, law enforcement, any of that sort. So what are you guys going to put in place for those at-risk kids? What parks, how many new parks are we going to put in place so those kids could go and have a place where they could be free, where they could play without the fear of gun violence, without the fear of gangs, without the fears of all these things? Because I'm a parent and I live in this community and I've seen so much. So what are we putting in place to
Council
ensure?
member, we have a question for you here. He'd like to talk about, I know you're big on education, but what kind of resources are we building for the youth in this district?
Not enough.
So I'll lean. I'm Eric. Hello.
Eric, I'm Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. So just for context, I'm big on education. It's like I was a teacher. It was like my career. And now I chair the Committee on Higher Education, which is CUNY, and I visit all my schools. What do you mean by resources for kids? What do you mean
Resources as in community centers, resources as in where kids could go and get information about college, trade school, law enforcement, military, all those resources, those at-risk kids. Because we want to be honest with ourselves. This community is, when I say loaded, with a lot of single parents who has to work 3 and 4 jobs to maintain their families. So kids are yearning for families, right? And if they're not getting it at home because mom has to work so many jobs, they're gonna find it somewhere else. So are there community centers are in place? Resource centers are in place? Because I'm hearing a lot of developments. I lived on 215, and within the past year or so, there are 3 developments where was like 3 family units, and now it's like 26 units there. So where are those kids? Are those class sizes going to be? Are more schools going to be built? Because if you instill 26 units in one building, maybe 26 in another, and 26 in the other, that's what, 78, roughly, right? And if you instill that and you put those in the classroom, how does those classroom size looks for those kids? How can the kids learn efficiently with large class size?
Ryan,
Yeah.
you touched on 500 different things, all of which are important. I want to add a little color to just one thing you said, though, which is really important to me, because you spoke about kids going home when parents may not be home. I just want to add to that, because this is from what I've seen in the classroom, also making sure our schools are inclusive places that welcome everyone, regardless of background, regardless of gender identity, LGBTQ status, because all of those things add to a kid's proclivity to get in with the wrong crowd. If they're not feeling family or community at school, they're going to find it, and they can find it in the wrong places. So I just want to add that and how important that is to me. I think one of the things you mentioned deals with things like after-school programs. So that's why we provide $20,000 grants to 18 schools throughout my district to provide after-school programs, and in addition, additional funding for like dance programs and other enrichment opportunities. Some of what you're talking about, things like class sizes, the state passed a law 2 years ago that reduces class sizes. Now, it is the requirement of the DOE, the Department of Education, and the mayor's office to implement that law. And you're touching on another problem. We have these other developments coming in, and now with City of Yes, they're going to be more dense. There isn't really any provision for requiring more schools being built, per se. The only additional resources an individual school would get when more kids come in is based on the Fair Student Funding Formula. And what that means, the Fair Student Funding Formula says each kid has a dollar amount attached to them. And a kid, I forget the exact number, but they'll get additional money if they have an IEP, if they have a disability, depending what the IEP says. If they're an English language learner, there's additional money attached to the kid. If they're a child living in temporary housing. So that's where the money is sort of allocated. And again, my role in terms of after-school programs, I fund 18 of our schools are funded for these after-school programs. Additionally, my schools get, each individual school typically gets over $100,000 in capital improvements for things like computers, smart boards, hydroponic labs, STEM labs, things like that. One of the big things we funded just the other year was at Kennedy High School. You all know Kennedy? K-Squad? I never called it. Is that where you went? Which school? Oh, Kennedy proper. Oh, you're older. Because Kennedy closed. So you got, okay. I taught at Bronx Theater, one of the smaller schools. But I, working alongside Councilmember De La Rosa, Borough President Gibson, and Speaker Adrian Adams, secured $5 million to completely renovate the football field. Because at a very basic, our kids deserve top-notch facilities. And let me tell you, this field is beautiful. It is beautiful. And it is what our kids need to stay engaged and get engaged in the sports programs, which I think is so critical for them finding our kids, finding family, finding activities, finding where they could be successful in school, and having it on a field where they won't roll their ankles just for scoring a touchdown. I know I got to wrap it up, but we can talk outside more because there is a significant amount I'm doing. Education is one of the pillars of who I am and what I do in the city council, but thank you.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that you did mention the Wakefield project, and the community board did vote for a school in place. And when they presented to us, they were saying they were going to put that in the last phase of the build out. If you can push for that to be put in the first phase, I think that we would all be in accord with that. What?
You want the update? Terrible update.
What?
Okay, so just for Wakefield Village, I'm getting a good workout with like this. It feels like I'm squatting, but I'm like chair yoga. Sorry, camera guy, for going up and down. The Wakefield Village project, originally years ago, the plan was there would be space for a school. The DOE came and said, well, we don't want to put a school there. We want money. Give us money. And now the developer's saying, no, we don't have to give you money. So this is sort of where a lot of us in the community come in and say, you know, if you're going to develop in our community, you're going to build 3 big buildings, you're going to make a lot of money, no problem making money, make some money. You got to give a little to the community, and that's why I want to make sure everyone's coming out to these community input sessions so the developers can hear directly from you how important investment in our community is, including education, and investment in community space, and what that looks like to you. I can't answer that question for everyone here. You can answer that question together for our community.
And one last thing before we move on, you're welcome to come to our committee. Denise, you can have the floor quickly. We have a committee on education. It's committee number 3. You're welcome to come and continue the conversation there.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to say.
I'm sorry, Denise did have something.
Oh,
she was going to speak next.
Yeah,
Quickly.
I want to speak to that. That's Wakefield Village we're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's a 1,100 unit, housing unit, right?
Right.
We need schools. I mean,
Right.
I don't even think one school would be able, 1,100.
Right. And can we get clarification? You said it's the DOE?
I'm sorry, I meant the SCA, the School Construction Authority, who does the schools, and it's good. I don't know if Alina Dow spoke, but we have the representative from the mayor's team here, Alina Dow. She's incredible. Give her a round of applause. She's wonderful. The SCA.
But with that, they said that they conducted a study and that's how they decided that it wasn't necessary to add a school there. We requested the study. Nobody ever shared that study with us. So how do we get them to come back and have a conversation with us?
I think that's part of this whole process.
Okay. And so you can help us coordinate that to get them at the table, and we can have a public hearing on that.
Yeah. I can't speak for them. What I can do is say I will work to get them to the table. As you mentioned, you're talking about 1,100 units. You're talking about a huge development. It would be atrocious if the community's voices were not heard in this, and that's what's important to me, to make sure that happens.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Hall, and then we do have to move on.
I just wanted to say, because this gentleman lives on 215th Street and Ebenezer Church is on 216th Street. And that being said, you're talking about the kids. And this Saturday, they're building generational health at Crawford Memorial Church. And I'm kind of doing a little promo for that because they're going to be there from 11 to 3 p.m. and you can get free haircuts for the kids. And they're going to educate you on health. So please, if you're in the area and it's right in your neighborhood, 215, 216, stop by.
So,
all right?
quickly, that's what I'm talking about, that information, because I live in 215 and it's the first time hearing about this. So more likely that persons living in the area have no clue. So what are you guys doing to outreach to the community?
I'll give you a flyer, and Sean Bell has the other flyer.
Yes,
you.
I'm here tonight, but what about those who are not
Ryan,
here?
we got to keep moving.
All right, thank you.
T.C. Lloyd, is he there? T.C. Lloyd?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lloyd Richards. I am part owner of a new restaurant in the Bronx called Radix.
I'm sorry, audience member, we can't hear.
Sure. My name is Lloyd Richards. I'm part owner of a new restaurant in the Bronx, East 233rd Street, called Radix. And the reason why I'm here tonight is maybe a year ago, last winter, the community board gave me approval, and I got my liquor license within like 3 months. And I'm just here to introduce myself to the community and maybe invite you to stop by. I kind of ran out a while ago. I was going to bring some gift vouchers so you could get discounts on dinners or lunches.
We can't accept that because there's a conflict of interest, but we could stop by and support. So thank you so much.
Sure.
We will make sure we support.
Thank you.
Thank you. We had a question in the audience before we move on. No? Did you have a question?
folks at home could hear. Okay. What I heard this young man asking for was a community center with a one-stop shop that can expose our youth to the different things that are available to them, where they can come and get all those items that you said is going to be like all over the place. So it's in one location in our community, not in one over here in this school, one over here in that school, just one center, one community center that provides all of that in one spot. That's what I thought I heard. However, I don't think anyone else heard that.
We have, and we speak about that all the time, and that's why I was saying we have an actual committee that meets and discusses those needs, and we invite you all to come because that's when we have like 2 hours to discuss these things, to hear your input, your ideas, and then we can write letters of support and reach out to all of our elected officials. This council member just reaches one area, but we have the Northeast YMCA, which does that type of programming for families as well. But again, we do invite you all to come. To our community members, Talene, who's on the line, she oversees the youth and education services. And those are things that we all push for as well.
Okay, it's still all over the place. It's not in one location.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. But we need funding for that. We need all of our elected officials on the table for that.
That's why it's coming up now, so that you can reach out to get some funding. Is that what this committee do?
Yes. Yes, we do.
We say we want something, and then you go and get it, right? I think that's how it works.
Yes, but what's your name?
Evelyn McDougall.
We love your energy. Please, we need you to be at our committee meetings because again, these are the places. This committee is youth, is library and education, and it has an array of health and human services. That is where you need to be, and that's where we need all of you to participate.
Okay, that
Please.
sounds well and good. But just like the gentleman was just up here asking for all this stuff, and this gentleman says, oh, they're going to be doing some haircuts. There's no advertisement. We don't know what's going on in our community. It's not good.
Again,
not good.
if you can come to our committee, we've also added social media where we're trying to, exactly what you're saying, we're trying to get better at it. Can you just make sure we have your information because I want to make sure you're at that committee. We've implemented a social media department because we do understand that as a board, we do have to have a better presence, which we don't. We are in accord with you.
All right, thank you.
Really quick, just want to say that applications for joining this community board are live. So if anybody has a vision for the community, get your application in by March 9th at the Bronx Borough President's website. Community board applications. Sit here and help with
Tyler. There's one lady that's there. No. That's not true. That's not true. Tyler Kelly. Tyler Kelly.
That's not me, but can I just answer her real quick? Good evening. My name is Chanel Edmonds. I live on 219th Street. I am going to start working with Mr. Joseph Urbina soon for the FEC. That's exactly what the FEC is going to be. So that's why we need you guys to continue letting them know so that we continue getting our funding, getting the support. We want to do, if we could open tomorrow, we would, 8 a.m. sharp. But unless you guys continue pushing that, we won't be able to find the space like the suggestion that she made earlier about Rite Aid. Make the suggestions, post it on their social media. You can. It was given out earlier, yes. I'll make sure you get one.
But again, you all need to come to our committee meetings. That's when you need funding for a location. So they need to be at these committee meetings so that they can help push for that funding from all of our elected officials.
Right.
That's really where it's at.
If you guys continue showing
Thank
up
you
and
so much.
continue making that point,
Tyler,
it'll help us out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on. Thank you so much for all the attendings that are here. Now we're going to move on to the next segment, which is our elected official representatives. Alina?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, because I don't want to have my back to you guys. I'm Alina Dow. I'm the Bronx Borough Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs. This has been a very, very interesting meeting. I'm saying I think one of the livest ones I've been to in almost 3 years. So I'm happy to see you guys here. Please continue to come, not just for votes, but coming consistently. I do want to say one thing. The schools in the community are the one place that the mayor wants to continue to keep open. He has continued to advocate about this, that these are the places that children should go even when the schools are closed. However, what is needed is community organizations that are going to host these programs to keep kids inside the programs when school is closed. So if you want to be a person who holds one of these type of programs, please bring it to the community, but also bring it to the schools and see if it's a program that can get started in the schools so that you can create the programs that are in the community that you guys are speaking of. But let me just get right to what's happening right now with the mayor. I'm sure that you guys are all aware, he went up to Albany. He is promoting Axe the Tax for working class New Yorkers to try to get some of your taxes axed for people that just really need it. We all need some type of support, so that's something that he's been working on. In addition, 20,000 to date, 20,000 illegal guns have been taken off of the street. Every day he continues to fight to make sure that illegal guns are taken off of the street, and I know that we talk about this up here in our area in Wakefield, but I cover 6 community boards, and this happens everywhere. Everyone's talking about guns being removed, so just know that this is taking place. In addition to the cars with no plates, I always tell you guys, call 311. The mayor cannot be everywhere. He really looks forward to communities being the eyes and ears of your neighborhood. Call 311 if you see it. Now the councilman has provided a new support. If it's closed, you can actually, again, just make sure that it was noted. So we're happy about that. In addition, DCWP, I always get these letters, are offering free tax preps. Tax season is right now. We don't want anyone to get fined, so please know that DCWP is providing free tax prep for our New Yorkers. And I'm not sure if you saw, when I talk about 311, Webster Avenue, if you go down there, I know we've been complaining about it, about the trucks, about the car washes. I went down there today, I went down there the other day, they are gone. So that is a part of New York City's agencies working together. They're not there right now. But it took the city, it took you guys to continue to make those 311 complaints. That's why they're not there. So you see, if it worked, we're going to continue to push forward to make sure that it works in other places. I do want to just let you know that the mayor did announce that it was a $2 million investment to build up on apprenticeship. I heard that was a big thing tonight, so that's just great that you know about it. There was a $15 million investment to connect 1,500 justice-involved New Yorkers to job opportunities, and there was a $48 million investment to connect benefits, people who have lost their benefits. This is a big thing, especially with older New Yorkers. Their benefits, their like SNAP cards have been being taken. They need the card. They're taking their money off of the card. They're taking their stamps off the card. Without the card could be in someone's pocket, and they've already taken it. So the mayor was working to make sure that money has been given back, and $48 million have been given back. I always say I try my very best to come to all the meetings. I have been on Zoom. I'm happy that I came here today. I will provide my contact information that anyone can contact me anytime. My number is 914-446-8393, and my email is A for Alina, Dow, DOWE, @cityhall.nyc.gov. Please do not hesitate to contact me. It doesn't take a month. You can call me anytime. Have a good night.
Thank you, Alina. Do we have any more from elected officials' offices? Thank you.
Well, hi, sorry, I'm here.
In person
hi.
right now. We're going to get to the
sorry.
online. In person right now. Thank you.
Hi, good night, everybody. My name is Andy. I'm with the New York City Council member Kevin C. Riley. I'm his constituent liaison. Our office is located at 940 East Gun Hill Road. Our number is 718-684-5509. I'm actually going to start a little bit towards the end of my talking points. So just to remind everybody of our constituent services, she mentioned we have tax preparation services going on through April. You can contact our office. The number is 718-684-5509. We have a newly appointed a resource in our office called the Veteran Advocacy Project. It's available to all constituents of District 12. We really would like to have more constituents take upon this resource because we know we have a lot of veterans in our district, so we would love if people can, if you know a veteran that lives in the district, to refer him to our office so he can get any support. We also have a family clinic with the Urban Justice Center. It's mainly for families that are kind of dealing with a lot of like legal issues, and we would like to see if we could have more people come in and take a part of the service. We also have our New Economy Project, who offers financial justice hotline that can take and place in multifold. Their number is 212-925-4929, and if anybody needs to repeat that number, I will at the end. And going on to events. So we have our first event, which we're partnering with Majority Leader Amanda Farias, which is on March 1st. It's a CUNY Citizenship Now event taking place at Lehman High School, which is 3000 East Tremont Avenue, Bronx, New York, 10461. This event will be kind of for specifically people and individuals that are looking to get assistance for citizenship. So it'll be like a all one-stop shop for people that are needing immigration assistance. To RSVP, you can call 646-664-9400. March 3rd, we're gonna be having a homeowner info session. It's gonna be a notice of property value and tax exemptions. People can go there, speak to a Department of Finance rep to speak about any discrepancies in their income tax, or sorry, not income tax, but their property tax, and they can actually file for a lot of the tax exemptions that they may qualify for. March 19th, we're gonna be having a homeowner info session on easement workshops. People can learn about easement and the awareness of it. It's gonna be taking place at the Grace Baptist Church, 3939 Dyer Avenue. It's gonna start at 6:30. For the tax property session is gonna be at the Northeast Bronx YMCA. That's 1250 East 229th Street from 1 to 4. And then March 6th, there's a Breathe Easy workshop also happening at the YMCA. It's an energy saving service with Bronx NHS. It's also at the YMCA, March 6th from 5:30 to 7:30. And then our office is having a Edson community cleanup. The location is gonna be from Edson Avenue all the way to 80 Avenue, March 29th from 10 a.m. to 12. Okay, now going into updates. So the council member recently submitted a written statement for last week's New York State Senate hearing on housing, where the state was reviewing the proposal to amend SCREE eligibility to be calculated by the Consumer Price Index, so it would be updated more frequently and aligned with inflation. We were able to get about 150 signatures in support of the proposal, and that's a big accomplishment for us. At the full city council meeting earlier this month, the city council voted to approve Councilmember Riley's intro 901-2024 to develop the Office of Homeowner Advocate and provide resources to homeowners and their heirs regarding scam prevention, mortgage counseling, municipal payment assistance, repair, financing, financial planning, and estate planning. So that's what's kind of like our updates. We also have legislation that we're trying to pass. Reso 252-2024 calls upon the state to pass legislation that would change how MTA transfers work, requesting unlimited transfers within existing 2-hour periods, as opposed to just one-fee transfers. So this would help reduce unnecessary two-fare zones for complex trips for people that for the communities like Co-op and other transport desert zones. And then just a reminder, the intro 82-2024, which is the Councilmember Karen Riley's gun violence hotline, which is like an alternative for youth that are currently in troubled spaces and troubled environments to seek support other than from the police. It'll also create a public awareness campaign against gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more in-person elected official representatives?
Sorry, I wasn't trying to take too much time, but I did just want to remind everyone that the Bronx Public Session, Input Session on Housing and Land Use for the Charter Revision Commission is happening here in the Bronx on Tuesday, March 4th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it's going to be held right at the Fordham University campus at the McShane Campus Center. So it's right in the middle of the Fordham campus. And like I said, I'm staying, I'm not leaving if you have any other questions about it.
Thank you. Online now we have Ivan Neds from Assembly Member Dinowitz's office.
Yes. Sorry about before. I thought we were moving past the representatives. But hi, everybody. This is Ivan Nets from Assemblyman Dinowitz's office. We're located at 3107 Kingsbridge Avenue for community issues or free notary services. But the legislative session has started in earnest, so unfortunately the assemblyman couldn't attend, but I just want to touch on a few things. One, we should be having our free paper shredding events coming up in the spring because those are our most sought after events. But one thing I heard tonight was that a lot of people are saying that there's no way of hearing some of these updates. Well, just so you know, we have a newsletter that goes out weekly with events, mostly for the 81st Assembly District, but it just always has informational stuff and good things for the community and the Bronx as a whole. So if you want to sign up for that, we've made it really short. It's dinowitz.us/newsletter, and I've actually included that in the chat as well. So feel free to sign up for our newsletter. It goes out weekly. On top of that, more locally, we've been doing some literature actually about immigration issues and sort of a Know Your Rights flyer that was approved by the state. So we've been distributing those. They list organizations for those who are concerned with all the uncertainty going on. And it lists also the Emerald Isle Immigration Center, which is a valuable resource for the CB12 community. But we'll be distributing those. I'm going to send it to CB12, the digital copy, so feel free to post that on social media. And yeah, I'm here to take back most of these concerns to the Assemblyman. So thank you very much for having me, and I hope you all have a good day.
Thank you. Next up, we have Renell from State Senator Jamal Bailey's office.
Hi, this is Renell from State Senator Jamal T. Bailey's office. So tomorrow we have our Black History Month event. Is it possible I can share my screen to show the QR code?
Yes, you can share.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Renell, if you're having a problem trying to share it, can you put it in the chat and possibly mail it to the community board office so they can send it out?
Yes, I could do that. So in the chat, I'll put the bit.ly link, and through that link, you can RSVP. So the event is tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. in Mount Vernon at the Denzel Washington High School of the Arts. We strongly encourage anyone to come out if you can. We have a lot of activities, and we would really love for you guys to come out. Thank you.
Thank you, Renell.
You're welcome.
We have Representative Torres's office, Rachelle.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Rochelle. I'm one of the constituent services liaison for Congressman Richie Torres. I have some announcements from our office regarding budget updates. So, so it's a bit long announcement. So this week, Republicans in Congress voted on a budget resolution that proposes cutting up to $880 billion from Medicaid, which is threatening healthcare coverage for thousands. In New York, in District 15, There are 313,208 residents who are currently relying on Medicaid, and that also includes 109,319 children who are also at risk of losing their health care. Additionally, those covered under the Affordable Care Act could see premium increases up to 28%, with some households facing as high as 105%. So this proposal also includes cuts for food stamps, which is putting 124,000 people in District 15 at risk of losing nutrition assistance. Um, so these drastic cuts are being pushed to fund tax breaks for the wealthiest 1%, prioritizing the rich at the expense of working families. Every Democrat opposed this budget, but the fight is not over. The House and the Senate are both negotiating a final agreement. Congressman Richie Torres remains firm. He will not support any bill that cuts Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, food stamps, or other essential safety net programs that Bronx residents depend on. Excuse me. So, regarding federal funding, we are monitoring the federal funding to ensure that the city agencies and organizations in our district are not being impacted by any funding freezes. There are currently no federal fund in our district that have been frozen by the administration. If anyone knows anything about any federal funds affecting any local programs, please contact our office and we will do further investigation. But that was it for those announcements. I would also like to share the services that our office offers, which is federal agencies involving immigration, Social Security, IRS. Also, we assist with housing issues. The phone number to our office is 718-503-9610. And any future announcements regarding any virtual town halls that we may have in future, I will definitely make sure to send out that email to Community Board 12 with that information. And that would be it for my announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Hello, Miss Rochelle. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rochelle.
Yes. Just two questions. When is the congressman coming back to speak to his constituents? And the second question is, the plan is to have an office, a rep here, 5 days a week. When is that happening? Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the second question? I didn't really hear
Yeah,
that.
second question is to set up an office in Community Board 12 here.
I don't have Mr. Torres' schedule, but I'll definitely make sure to let them know for any concerns that Community Board 12 has.
No, not concerns. When is he available? Not concerns. Two
I
different things.
don't have Mr. Torres' schedule. I'm not sure, but any questions, I'm definitely going to bring this to the office.
Okay, can you follow up on that for us?
Yes, no problem. I'll follow up with, is Beatrice okay?
Yes,
or
thank you.
George?
Thank you for following up.
Okay.
I think our board members are
No
just
problem.
asking because he had mentioned hosting a legislative breakfast so that we can have all the legislative officials at the table and we can discuss our communities, but it hasn't happened yet. So it's just a reminder that we're still waiting for that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And then another comment that a board
I'll
member.
let that know.
Thank you. Another comment that a few board members have made for our elected official representatives is that it would be such a better connection if you would have your cameras on to connect with us in that way, because just, seeing a blank screen is just not the same effect. So we would ask you that when possible, if you can at least have your cameras on if you're not able to be here in person. Thank you so much. Okay, and so I believe we have Alexis from the Borough President's Office. Alexis, are you with us?
Good evening, everyone. So first, I want to apologize for not having my camera on. My phone is on 18% and is on the charger while I'm speaking to you all and just listening on your meeting. So I apologize. Next month, I will do my best to be in person. I'm happy to be here with you all, though, virtually, to everyone in the audience, The community board application portal is now open. I just want to say thank you to Luke for shouting that out. I know some folks are wondering if they're eligible and how can they become eligible. You're eligible to become a board member if you live and or work in the Bronx and if you're 16 years of age and older. So I hope that you all apply so that you could be part of the decision making and being part of the voting process. The borough president recently spoke on a new initiative to combat the opioid epidemic in the Bronx. It's bringing much needed support to neighborhoods impacted by substance abuse. If you would like to learn more about that, you can find that on the BP's website. You can reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to the board office. The BP also recently announced her job fair series in collaboration with the Department of Labor. So if you're interested or you know someone that is in need of a job, please have them reach out to the borough president's office as well as the board office. Flyers will be provided soon. There are a number of events that are upcoming, so I won't name them all to you, but you can find those flyers on the borough president's website as well and at the board office. I don't want to take up too much time, but it was great speaking with you all, and I will be here for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexis. And that concludes our portion of the elected official representatives. Next up, our committee
Hi,
member.
I'm so sorry. I had wanted to speak. I had my hand up.
I'm sorry, who's this? Oh, yes. Tell us how to pronounce your name, please.
Fatmata.
Fatimata. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you for turning your camera on.
Of course. Good evening, everyone. My name is Fatmata Kamara. I am from the Bronx District Attorney's Office. I am a community engagement coordinator. At the moment, we have 3 events coming up. We do not yet have flyers, but once we do, I will make sure to share it with George and Ursula so that y'all can have it available. In March, we're going to be hosting a women's reentry, March 25th. It's not focused only on women, but it is targeting specifically the women population. In April, we're going to be having our child safety fair, which is going to be a day that is going to be interactive and educational for the young kids to learn more about child abuse awareness as well as the parents. And in May, we hope to hold our youth summit. All of these things we don't yet have flyers for, but once we do, we will make them available. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to the next portion. We have presenters from committee number 3. Dr. Samuels, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. So tonight we're going to start doing our community health corner. And tonight's presentation that we're going to be talking about is hypertension. We're going to be talking about heart health for the month of February. So we're just going to wait for the PowerPoint to go up. So we talk about what is hypertension. So hypertension basically is where the blood pressure is consistently elevated. And with it being consistently elevated can cause numerous problems within the body. It can cause problems with our kidneys. It can cause problems with our eyes. It causes problems with all of our arteries and our veins inside of our body. Now, hypertension is one of the diseases that plagues our community. It plagues our community because of genetics. It plagues our community because of the way that we eat, our lack of exercise. What can we do to help get our blood pressure low? Things that we can do are called modifiable risk factors. So that would be something simply as just exercising. Something simply as just stop smoking, not drinking alcohol, not eating high-fat food. Things that we cannot control, unfortunately, will be something that's non-modifiable, will be our race. We find more African Americans, more Latinos, we're more prone to it. Even though our Caucasian counterparts, they still have it, but they have more or less of a chance of it occurring. You can go to the next slide. So we also look at other modifiable factors will be just to stop smoking. The American Heart Association recommends no smoking at all. Even though they do recommend you can drink alcohol, but maybe just one drink a day for women, 2 drinks per day for men. But smoking constricts our blood vessels. So when we have hypertension coupled with smoking, it produces more risk for a person to have a heart attack, more risk for a stroke, and more risk for blindness. Glaucoma is one of the #1 diseases that plagues our community with hypertension. Let me go to the next slide. We already talked about it affecting regardless of race, color, or gender. We find more men are more affected because of weight. We find more men are affected because of higher stress levels. What can you do? You can change your diet. No added salt to your diet, no added fat. Try to eat more fresh foods, frozen over fried. If you can, try to grill your food, try to broil your food. The American Heart Association recommends 30 minutes 5 times a week of exercise. So a total of 150 minutes you should be exercising every week. That can be in the form of maybe just walking. Maybe you can go to the gym, ride your bike, swimming. Any form of exercise is recommended. And it's also recommended that you take your prescribed medications. If your doctor has prescribed medications to you, you should still continue to take it even though your blood pressure has gone down. Because once you stop taking the medications, your blood pressure is going to go back up. So don't think that just because your blood pressure is down, you don't have to take it anymore. You do need to continue to take your medications. And I think that's it. Oh, and that's it. Okay? So if any questions, you can, contact me. I'm available through the community board for any questions that you might have regarding hypertension. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuels, for the very valuable information. Okay, now we're going to move on. Javed, we're going to have you do it during your committee report. Okay? We're going to move on. Just thank you all for being here, the importance of your attendance. Today was beautiful. We didn't have any issues with quorum. We're going to move on. The district manager is out. Now we're going to move on to the approval of board minutes. And we're going to, Ms. Benitez, can we do them together for both, or you want individuals? Okay. For each minute. Okay. So first, we're going to approve our board minutes for the November 21st, 2024 board meeting. So I would like to make a motion to accept the November board meeting minutes. Okay.
Please listen so that I can, and make sure you talk loud so I can hear that you're here. Judith Benitez abstained. Carlton Berkeley. We're doing an approval. Carla Basati. Patricia Boswell, not present. Michelle Bromfield, excused. Desiree Campbell, not present. Sadie Campbell, excused. Joan Claude. Etonia Davis. Tolene Dickerson.
Present.
What did she say?
Present.
Aye or nay? You're approving the minutes.
Roger. Okay, aye.
Tierra Donaldson. Denise Echeverria.
Aye.
Jaslyn Farmer. Alfredo Figueroa. Sabrina Fisher. Katika Fuentes is excused. Johnny Goff, not present. Darren Grant, excused. Sheila Grierson. Robert Hall. John Isaac. James Theodore James, not present. Alpha Kamara. Robert Link.
For Theodore, you have him as excused. He sent a message. You saw that, right? The email?
Who?
Theodore James.
I didn't get anything from him.
It's in the email. He's excused.
Sorry. Javid Malik. Mark. Lucille Martin.
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay. Mansa. Antoinette Mitchell. Andrea Murray is excused. Clinton Mike.
Aye.
Carmen Ortiz.
Abstain.
Whoa. Wayne Palmer. Wayne, I'm sorry. Thank you. Reginald Paris. Reginald. Ariel Peters, not present. Dominic Finn. Anthony Reed, not present. Nicholas Rosa. Dr. Sherry Samuels. Karen Skinner is excused. Carl Sturker. Benga Sabir. Luke Zabados. Deborah Torrado excused. Damon Toteen. Deborah Walker excused. Beatrice Coronel. Okay. Okay, the ayes have it. Now, you're going to do the January? Okay. Get a motion.
Okay, now we're moving on to board minutes for January. This was last month's board minutes. Can I get a motion? Okay, so Carl and Carl Stricker and John Isaac. Thank you.
Now, let me see if I can speed this up a little bit. Those who have abstained, would you raise your hands? Are you going to do that this time around? Carl Stricker. Please call your name out when you say you're abstaining. Anybody else abstaining?
I am.
Hold on, one at a time. Hold on. She abstaining? And then Antoinette Mitchell. Lucille Martin.
No, I'll be changing my vote to aye.
You're going to vote aye on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Lucille.
And Carmen Ortiz will be aye.
Okay, thank you, Carmen.
Okay.
Anyone else that's abstaining?
Dr. Samuels had to leave.
Who?
Dr. Samuels had to leave.
Oh, okay, that's not a vote. Is she voted? Did she? No, she. Let's do a not present then. Okay. Now, do I have a vote that everyone is saying aye?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Great. Now we're going to move to our committee reports. And so for my executive committee report, I just submitted it last night. I don't think it gave everybody enough time to review it. We just met this Monday, so we're tabling that to next month. Next up, we have Committee 1. Did you submit a report, Committee 1, Mr. Hall? Okay, so we're going to skip that, and we already took a vote. We're going to go to the Committee 3 report. First, we'd like to make a motion. Actually, do your presentation first. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I know that we've been here for a while, so I'm going to try to speed this up. Don't worry. Okay. So today, this evening, I'm going to be presenting on a bill proposal called the Rohi Act, which the goal of it is to expand SNAP options and the overall health of our borough. The bill proposal outlines a few ways where we can expand people's SNAP options within the whole of New York State, where anyone who has SNAP and participates in the program will be able to use their SNAP benefits at restaurants within their zip code, so be it as the Department of Health designates them as a healthy a restaurant that offers healthy items. They will be able to designate that with the help of both our universities of public health and community boards. Thank you for having the presentation up. You can go to the next slide, please. Awesome. So really quickly to break down what the presentation is going to be about, we're going to start off with the statement of need, why we need this, the social determinants of health are next, the mission of the bill, the breakdown of what the bill is, and lastly, our stakeholders, obstacles we're going to reach, and the next steps. So first, oh, it looks like I got cut off. So basically, first and foremost, marginalized communities face significant health disparities because of barriers to their nutritional health. A health disparity are poor health outcomes that are faced by marginalized communities that richer, more affluent communities don't face. Marginalized communities are undervalued communities, communities of lower income, communities like our own in the Bronx, where we have historically faced poorer health outcomes than other neighborhoods in the rest of New York City. Nutrition is that marker that can help us determine health outcomes across a population. Quality nutrition is linked with more favorable health outcomes and a higher quality of life. Poor nutrition linked to the opposite. Poor, more marginalized neighborhoods in New York City have 2 times higher premature death rates compared to affluent ones. So, what are the markers that we can use to decide what are the barriers that are causing people not to make healthy decisions and live healthy lives? Well, first and foremost, we can look to the social determinants of health. The first social determinant of health is economic stability. The second is neighborhood and built environment. The third is education. The fourth is social and community context. And the fifth is healthcare access. To break that down a little bit, we can talk about this on a variety of different health issues, but we're talking about nutrition here. Economic stability, is someone able to afford healthy foods? The neighborhood and built environment, is their local grocery store providing healthy food options? 3, the education, are people educated enough to be able to cook a healthy meal, know the difference, have that health literacy when they're looking at the back of that food label? So social and community context, a lot of different communities and a lot of different cultures cook very differently. Can they adapt their cultural foods to a way that is more healthy for their overall being and their families? And lastly, healthcare access. Do you have quality healthcare access and a doctor that'll guide you through these nutrition decisions? Next, please. So the overall mission of this bill is to combat nutrition-related disparities in New York City and do it in a way that we're attacking each one of those obstacles that people face based on their social determinants of health. So what is the Rohi Act and what does it do? Rohi stands for Restaurants Offering Healthy Items Act. The Rohi Act expands accessibility to healthy foods for SNAP participants. It works by expanding something that already exists called the RMP program, the Restaurant Meal Program. It was enacted in October of 2021, and it allows specific SNAP households options to buy prepared meals at participating restaurants with their benefits. It's a great start, but we need to improve it because the RMP is very specific to the groups that are able to use it. That's the elderly, the disabled, and the homeless. And those people should continue to be able to use their benefits, and under the Rohi Act would have no changes to their benefits. Now, if you fall outside of that criteria, under Rohi, you will be able to participate in the program as long as you use your benefits at restaurants that have been designated by the Department of Health with the assistance of our city public health graduate schools and community boards as restaurants that offer healthy items. SNAP participants would be able to use their benefits also on online meal kit delivery services, such as HelloFresh and Blue Apron. These restaurants that offer healthy items are restaurants in New York City. Department of Health has noted to provide meals that fall below the daily recommended limits of sodium, sugar, saturated fat, all defined by the dietary guidelines of Americans. This is going back to what Dr. Sherry said about how we can alter our diet to improve our health outcomes. Now, thank you. So, who are the key stakeholders in getting this completed? First, we're going to have the New York City Department of Health. The second is our graduate schools of public health. Next is our local community boards. And last is our elected leaders. So the method of how this would occur is first, New York City Department of Health and our city public graduate schools for public health conduct a survey of each borough, choosing a minimum of 2 restaurants that offer healthy items per zip code. This could be your local juice shop, your local salad shop. Next, community boards have the option of submitting restaurants for the New York City Department of Health and our graduate schools to review for that designation. Now, if that restaurant gets a designation, a person who has SNAP benefits can now use their benefits at that site to purchase a healthy meal. They can use it to buy a salad, a smoothie, or whatever they may be purchasing that has been designated as a healthy item. So what do we need to overcome? So first and foremost, we need to overcome stigma against SNAP participants. There's a lot of stigma against people that use SNAP. But the reality is, study after study shows that SNAP participants do not have different eating habits than people that don't have SNAP. A lot of people say that if you are on SNAP, you're most likely buying unhealthy foods or you're buying junk food or etc. But the truth is, no study has ever proven that. And the difference really is in the lack of choice. SNAP participants are more likely to come from low-income areas that are more likely to have scarce, expensive, or unreasonable to prepare items. Something like an image on the side of the screen here is a healthy meal, but it's not exactly reasonable for your average person who is low income to prepare. You have to buy a lot of different ingredients that could be costly or unreasonable to prepare, especially after working a long shift. So that's why we moved to expand, not restrict. You see, the point of this bill is to expand access. Nothing that within this bill is restricting anything that we already have in place. People already have their SNAP benefits and they go to grocery stores. All we're doing is giving them more options to use their benefits that were given to them. Next, we talk about their social and cultural competence. With that social and cultural competence, we're able to have people shop in their community and get food from their local juice shop, their local salad shop that they've been going to for years with their benefits. That supports small businesses, that supports our health, and that supports the community overall and leading to better healthy behaviors. So, what are the next steps into turning this into a reality? Expanding SNAP options is a pivotal step in creating a healthier and happier community. As a board representing our community and creating new, innovative, and effective means for our community to live longer, healthier lives is part of our responsibility. So the next step is to formally have a motion to write a letter of Community Boards 12's formal support for the ROHI Act bill, and then further communication with our City Councilman Kevin C. Riley and our State Senator Jamal Bailey on sponsoring this bill and furthering it through New York State Legislature. Thank you.
I just have a question. We should add other elected officials there.
Yes, of course. Other elected officials, as many elected officials as we can, because we really want to get this bill sponsored and pushed through legislature and get it passed.
So Javed, it hasn't been passed yet.
So this bill, I've had conversations with Kevin C. Riley, and he said that he liked the idea. I've spoken to his legislative director, Jason Fox. He liked the idea as well. The problem is, whenever you have something to do with SNAP, you need to pass a state law. So the idea of this bill proposal is, in this bill, it would be the letter of support of Community Board 12 would be pushed to other elected officials, mainly our state senators, especially because they would help, and they would draft that bill and edit it so that they can push it through, as long as it's like expanding those options.
No, I'm asking that. I'm asking that because my son just told me yesterday that he was in Popeyes on White Plains Road, and there's an EBT sign in there. So that's why I'm asking you that.
Yeah, so that's actually a great point. So all right now, so remember when I talked about the RMP program? The RMP program already serves 3 communities: the elderly, the disabled, and the homeless, right? We heard, when I spoke to Kevin C. Riley, legislative director, he told us that they were trying to try to experiment with offering it to more people. I'm not really sure to what extent they're doing it, but they did tell us that Popeyes was one of the lists. Now, I'm okay with homeless people eating Popeyes with their SNAP benefits. I don't want people in lower income communities eating it if they have options. That's not what we want.
Right. I mean, I figured because of the migrant community that we had in this area, I figured that was probably one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I figured that too, especially because the RMP works for homeless people. They would probably be under that classification. Yeah. But this program is specifically for people that fall outside of it. Go ahead, Denise.
You think of bringing that over to Lobby Day? Actually bring that over to Lobby Day and see if you can get other, elected officials on board with that bill.
Yeah, for sure.
And get, look online and get a list of the ones on health, with whatever we have here, and go on Lobby Day. I'll be there.
Hello. I'm more than willing to be on there and also show this bill and everything I think that's great in it to help our community. I also hope that this community votes to have formal support of it so that we can show that our community does care about our health and want the best for it.
Javed, isn't SNAP part of the federal?
I'm sorry?
Isn't SNAP part of federal?
SNAP is part of federal, but it's up to states to decide how they disseminate it within the state. So the federal government will give the money, but it's up to the state to decide what they're doing with it.
It was good, Beatrice, that you said bringing in our elected officials, other ones. As I don't know if you guys know, but Assemblyman Dinowitz is part of the Codes Committee, and Jamar Bailey was part of the Codes Committee, and what they are part of is making law. So we still got Dinowitz in our district. As far as Jamal, he gave it up for some other committee. I wish he had it back, but I can push that with we can push that with Assemblyman Dinowitz to make it, to start the ball rolling with making it law.
Yeah, that's a great. Okay.
Was just going to say that we should also, write this resolution in support. I think when we use the words resolution, we're writing a resolution in support. It's a little bit stronger. And then we should address it also to Carl Hasty. He's our assembly member and the Speaker of the House at the state level. He's also one of the most powerful people in the state. So having something kind of come from his own community, maybe that's really great. Just wanted to mention that the economic development that this would provide. Also, you might want to consider sending it to other community boards, because this is something that a lot of other community boards might be interested in. And if you create a letter, a resolution of support, other community boards may be interested in signing on and having their community boards vote and stuff like that. So consider that.
Yeah, even bringing it to borough president or borough president Vanessa Gibson, because then she can disseminate the information to the other community boards and speed track it for us. Any board members with any other questions? No? Okay. And so now we are going to move on to accept the committee report. Talene, are you going to do it?
No, Javed was going to do it.
Javed? Okay. Okay, so we'd like to make a motion. Go ahead. To accept the report.
Yeah, so, sorry. So we'd like to make a motion to accept the committee's report to have Community Board 12's formal support for this resolution.
First is you accept the report.
Oh, to accept the report,
yeah.
Sorry. So we would like to make a motion to accept Committee Board, the committee report.
Can you take a group vote, Ms. Benitez, for this? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
My question to the group at large, any abstentions? Any negative? Any recusals? Are we saying that we are accepting this report? Aye. Thank you.
Okay, Java, the next is you make a motion for the vote.
So I'd like to make a motion for the vote for Community Board 12's formal support for the resolution to support the Rohi bill.
I second.
And everybody's in agreement, we're going to include all of the elected officials and make this a statewide
So that was
incentive and initiative.
Etonia made the first, and then Dominique Finn made the second.
Okay, I'm asking the same question again. Any abstentions? Any negatives? Any recusals? Are we all saying aye? Aye. Thank you.
Great. We have one more matter. Bobby?
Yes, just briefly, my name is Bobby Link. I'm the chair of the Discipline Committee. The Discipline Committee has been very busy. We did a very exhaustive, thorough study of the complaints that were in front of the committee. We issued a report February 12th, 2025. I encourage you to reach out to Ursula if you want to get a full version of that complaint, but I just want to thank the committee and everybody who participated for their hard work, and that's it. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so now I just want to remind everybody it's important. You see how we had quorum today. It went smoothly. It took a while, but we had a lot of important matters. Please make sure you're aware it is your responsibility to know when your committee meets. It's on the website now. Thank you all for being here. Can I get a motion to close? Yeah? Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I think Alfredo should address this, and Ms. Benitez, in the news, everyone heard there was a shooting on White Plains Road? At Africa, is it Africa Last Stop or Last Stop? Last Stop? It wasn't a shooting, it was a stabbing. Okay, so this bar or whatever, when they came before us for the liquor license, no, we didn't approve it. We turned them down, and I think this is like the third or fourth incident that they had.
But we don't have this on the agenda, so we're going to close and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So board members, just remain here. We just got to close out because we don't have it on the agenda. Okay, just remain here. Can I get a motion to close? Okay, so Carl and Joan. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you all. We'll see you next month. Board members don't leave. Okay, so we have an important matter that has to do with public safety.
Yeah. So my question was, if we voted against it, why did the liquor authority go against us and give them a liquor license?
Well, the issue there, guys, what happened there was, so what happened there, they came to us, and
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Did you close the meeting?
We did.
We're still recording.
Oh, we closed.
So wait a minute.
Yes, we'll resume. We should talk about this at committee level, which is literally in a week or two, okay? But this is an important matter. It's been all over the news. And so it is something that we need to speak of.
Next Thursday, March 6th, attend the Committee 2 meeting. We need a quorum.
Committee 2 deals with public safety. So this is next Thursday. Hello, board members. Committee 2 meets next Thursday. Public safety, this matter will be addressed. Thank you all. Good night.
It's not going to be, this not going to be addressed today? Hello? Hello?